Right, so unsurprisingly, I am going to be doing my my magazine on gardening, and the article that I'm going to design for is going to relate to herbs. And so what I'm going to be doing is going and finding my images. You know, some of these are herbs, some of these aren't. So, for example, this is dill. So I'm going to download that image. Sorry, I had to log in. So I have an account for Free Pick, and the reason why I do that is because I know that I can get high quality images, and it's really important that you're getting high resolution images. I know in the last project we talked about resolution. If you don't have high quality images, and it's going to be something that I'm going to be looking at in your next project, if you don't have those high quality images, you're never going to be able to print this out and show it in your portfolio. So it's really important for you to understand that you can't just grab any images off the web. You can do those searches for higher quality images, and we talked about that in the last project. So I'm going to download this. This is dill. I'm going to download a couple of things for myself. This is a variety of herbs, so I'm going to download this. One of the reasons why I love this software is this is thyme, is that I have the ability to know, oh, here's rosemary, all good traditional herbs. I like this because it's kind of naming them for us. And I might not use these, but I'm downloading them for myself. This is a great one. But one of the things that's really great about this is this gives me the understanding that I'm going to have, high quality images without kind of going and searching for it. So I'm going to say that that's probably all I need. And then I am going to do an image on a beautiful garden for my cover. Now, when you're picking this, you kind of always have to remember that you usually have something up here with the title. So you're going to be looking for images that are going to be able to support that information. And then you might have some names of articles in there. So I'm going to pick this just because it is just a beautiful garden, knowing that I'm going to probably have to use light type over here. And I can use light type over here to get my information. So I'm going to go ahead and download that as well. Now it's really important to think about what you might need. I'm going to download this one too, because you know what? It looks a little scraggly here, so I am not going to. Now I am going to do my ad on gardening tools, so I'm going to do a search for garden tools. And sometimes it's best, obviously, if we're selling something, we need to have a high quality image photograph. It can't be an illustration if we're selling something. And I just have to decide. And I'm going to go ahead and grab this. All right. So I have my images for my magazine. I have my image for my ad on the back, and I have my image for the cover. So now we can start back into InDesign. And I know that they're all high quality. So the first thing I want to do is kind of think about what is going to be on that cover, start roughing things out, I am going to go ahead and grab my image and drop it in. I'm doing a drag and drop. This image is a little bit small, but it's not too small. And the reason why I know that is because I'm not going to be enlarging it more than 50%. So I can either drag this into the program like this, and I'm gonna insert another image, or I could go to File, down to Place, and then all of my things are in my download folder. So I'm gonna go into my downloads, and I think I had another image just on the off chance that I needed another image. No, you know what? I think I left it at this. But you know what? I'm going to drop this in because maybe I want it to be, the cover to be on herbs as well. It doesn't have to be, the image for your cover doesn't have to be the same for your article. And you can see that this is much bigger. You can see it's huge. So that's something to consider. Now, as much as I love this image, I'd be cutting it in half to make it work. This one I can scale a ton and make it work. So I think those are really important things to kind of consider. Before I get going, I'm going to go and put this to Essentials Classic. And that's going to give me my tools. So I'm going to go to Window, down to Workspace, and do Essentials Classic. So the reason why I'm doing that is because it's giving me all these tools up here, and I can scale these using those tools, and that's one of the reasons why I like to work with Essentials Classic. So let's take this, let's take this guy and make it 50% and see how big. So you can see even at 50%, it's still big for us. So let's take it to 25%. So 25%, it's good for us. It's giving us full bleed, which we need, and it's giving us a lot of great space, and I can move it down and use this for my headline. And I don't love, this, but one of the things I can do is I can actually make it a little bit larger and minimize that in the front. So I think I'm probably going to use this, but let's look at this image. I'm going to pull this to the side. Let's look at this image. I'm going to make this 125. Still not big enough, so I'm going to make it 150. And you can see at 150, it's not even giving me bleed, right? Because I have to bleed 1/8 of an inch. So we are going to stick with this guy, right? This guy works for us. And I'm going to bring it all the way down with 1/8 of an inch bleed here. We're getting a little bit of the blur here in the front. And this is where these two pages come together. So I'm going to move that over. Now, I can come in and choose to kind of crop in on this. And then over here, I am going to have my ad. So I'm going to, again, drop in the image that I need. And remember, we had this image, so we're going to drop in that. And again, it's bigger than we need, so I'm going to bring it down to 75%, which is actually great for us. I think that's exactly what we need. Now, I want to minimize the gloves, so I'm going to pull that in. And then I'm going to minimize it over here and position it where I need to. Now I'm going to minimize the image a little bit more. And I want to talk a little bit about this because I can move this around that area pretty easily. You can see that in the white arrow tool, I'm able to kind of move that around a little bit. And that's because my image is bigger. You can see the edges of my image here. The other thing that this arrow does is, again, it allows me to resize that window that I have, you know, in terms of what I want to be able to see. So I think that does it for my cover and my ad. We're going to leave those alone and kind of flesh in some of the images here. And again, I'm going to bring in images differently. So it's very common to have like a full photograph for your first page. So I'm going to do File, Down, Place. Again, this is the different way that you can bring this in. So I'm going to bring in this big image of rosemary. Oops, and that big image of rosemary showed up here. And it's pretty close to the right size, so I'm gonna bring it in at 125. It's not quite as big as I want, but I could live with it. Again, I'm gonna close that window down so I'm just getting the bleed, because one of the things I could come over here and do is, instead of making that any larger, I could come over here and grab one of these dark greens and fill that. And we'll close that down so that I have 1/8 of an inch showing. Now let's look at another way of doing a title page in here. So let's choose to use this as our initial page for our article, and maybe instead of having a big image over here and then my title over here and start my paragraph, I'm gonna have my title here, I'm gonna have a few paragraphs, but I am gonna have like some image. And so one of the things maybe I come in it with is I'll grab this and use it differently. Maybe I will just use it as texture. And we're going to increase the image to, let's say, 150. And I'm going to counterbalance over here. And then I'm going to crop down so we only have 1/8 of an inch showing. So that's a whole different look and feel. Let's start dropping in text. So now that we have some things happening. So for my ad, we're going to go something super simple. Our tagline is the tools you need. Not super clever, but again, you know, I'm just showing you the process. I want this to be in a simple sans serif, so I'm going to do Frutiger. Actually, I'm going to do Helvetica because for some reason my Frutiger is not showing up. So I'm going to type in, and I want this to be a fairly bold font, so I'm going to do Helvetica New Condensed. And then this is a big chunky title, so I'm going to make it, you know, kind of heavy. I am going to choose one of the greens over here so that I'm connecting that page a little bit. And then it didn't give me the color I selected, so I'm going to go back in and select that color. I'm going to give myself that, and I'm going to grab that color. Why are you not doing this for me? Let's go to color. Let's actually just bring in swatches so it'll be easier to get going. So I'll do color swatches. So let's try that again. Super frustrating. All right, so grab that color. Let's grab this color. I'm wondering, oh, you know what? I wonder if it's not wanting to grab the colors I want. Oh, there we go. So I'm gonna drag this. I'm gonna just create a new color swatch with that color. And then I can come over here to my type, select that, and use that new color swatch. And then I might put their logo down here. Let's imagine a logo. And the thing is you don't need to make your logos huge. The important part is that they're there and visible, but not huge. So I'm going to do Helvetica, and I'm going to do this, and maybe I'll make it 14 point. So we'll pretend that that's their logo. Then we're going to come in here and we're going to put the name of our magazine. We're going to just call it Gardening. And we're going to use that Helvetica condensed again, just for continuity, and also because I want something big and heavy here. And you can see that we're going to be making this quite a bit bigger, and I'm just clicking that because I want it to basically go from edge here to edge there. So we're actually going to move this over and up so that we're not bleeding past this, and then we're going to give this box a little bit more size, and then we're just going to increase the size. And we're going to make our magazine title in red because it stands out of the green. Actually, you know what? We're going to make it yellow because it's going to stand out in the green. Although you can see that yellow is not great for this because we're losing it. So we're going to go back to, let's see what blue looks like. You can see that we're losing this over here. So there are a couple of things that we're going to do. Overall, I really like this image, and I like the way the blue is working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open that document up in Photoshop. And I'm going to lighten this. And there are a couple of ways that I could do that. I could come over here and create another layer, and I could select this color and then just come in and with a big heavy paintbrush, and this is not big enough or heavy enough, and that's not either, and just kind of nip that over there. So I like it. I don't actually have to do anything with it. Like the opacity works, it kind of feels very sunny. So I'm going to do a save as on this. And I'm going to save it as normal, but, you know, as a Photoshop file, but I'm also going to save it as a TIFF. And the reason why I'm going to save it as a Photoshop file is because I want that layered version. And I'm going to call this fix at the front. And I want that TIFF because it's going to be a more condensed file. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click this guy and go and look for the updated. I'm going to go to File, down to Place, and I'm going to find mine, and I just called it Fix. So, and it should bring it back just as it was intended. And so up here, I'm going to say Spring 23. So maybe this is a magazine that only comes out a certain amount of, you know, 4 times a year. So Spring 2023. I want to pick that blue. Now in doing that, I made that text that size, but that's okay because now I can just, I have that font in Helvetica. I can change that to just a regular bold, and then I can bring it down quite a bit, because what I want to do is I want to nest it right in here. And that still has a little bit of a reading issue, but not a ton. And so I'm going to be happy with it. So I'm going to nest my, you know, whether it says May 2023 or, you know, this is a magazine that only gets put out 4 times a year, spring. So it would be spring, summer, fall, and winter. You'll put that in. And then we're going to put in some of the names of our articles after that. So I'm going to close this box down. And bring in some of our articles. So I'm going to create a box, and we're gonna use ours. Growing your own fresh herbs. Now usually you're going to put several of these. I'm going to actually select this because they should be the same blue. We can see that I misspelled herbs, so I'm going to fix that. I am going to have this flush right, which is typical that they align here. And then I'm going to make this quite a bit bigger than my Spring 2023. So I'm going to increase the size here, and I'm going to drag this here. And then it would not be uncommon to put something like page. And again, you have to look at page 13. So we know that's page 13. We're going to bring that down a ton. We're going to make that 9 point, which is typical body copy, and see how it nests. Looking pretty good. It is not uncommon when you're setting a title that you come in and you play with the space between lines of type. That's called leading. And so I'm going to tighten those up by pulling those a little bit closer. And so we're going to pretend that we have a couple of these titles on here. I'm going to put this here. And we'll pretend, well, actually, let's just your pearls. So we have, you know, 2 titles on here. The other thing that's pretty common is that you have an ISBN. So let's go searching for that. If I do a search for ISBN, I'm going to get an image, and again we'll use tools. We'll go large, so that we need so that we have a large one. Looks like this one's going to be large, so I'm going to just drag that to my desktop, or, you know, if you're on a Mac, you can hit Control and do a save image. On a PC, you're going to have to look that up because I do not know what the key commands are. All right, so then we're going to drag that guy in. Oops. We're going to drag that guy into the side, and he's going to be quite large. We are going to give it a white background because it needs a white background, and then we're going to scale it to 25%. It's still going to be large, so we're going to scale it another 50%, and then we're going to decide to put that right down here because it kind of works for us in that it kind of gets rid of that blurry thing. It would not be uncommon over here either. I'm actually going to choose to scale it a little bit more. Unfortunately, when we do these things, you know, this kind of messes with our mojo visually, right? But this is what's traditional, that this is on your magazine. So sometimes you'll see it here. We could play with the tint in the background, but I am kind of a safety first, and having that strong white means that that ISBN will read every time. So again, we're going to come in and create our title. So I'm just going to grab this because we've already got it set. And so I'm going to kind of play with this. I'm going to go with something that is kind of playful. So the font here is going to be a little script with fresh herbs. These obviously have to come in up quite a bit. And you'll notice what's happening is that space between is too tight. And that is because, remember, we played with kerning. So we'll place that on auto until we get that set. We'll look at what it looks like at 72 and see if we're happy there. We are happy there. And so I'm going to set this up here. And now we can go in and play with that kerning, or letting that space between lines of type. And so I'm going to tighten that up. And then it would not be uncommon that we put the author of the article in here. And so we're just going to use my name. I'm just going to put Michelle Nelson. And again, I'm just going to grab this text just so that that I have something to go on that works with that font. And then I'm going to bring that to 9-point type because that should definitely be set fairly small. And I'm going to play a little bit here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to track it out. So tracking is the space between letters within a word. So I'm going to come over here and track it out 100. And the reason why this is kind of fun is it gives it kind of a different texture. And then I'm going to align it over here. And then, you know, what would be common is that we come in with our article. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in our article. Right, so many of you are familiar with lorem ipsum generators. They generate body copy that is unreadable. It's in Latin for us. So we could generate, let's generate 10 paragraphs. And then we'll copy it. And so you, in your design, need to type in your article. But it doesn't necessarily have to be the first day. So I'm going to go ahead and generate some text. Oh, and it did not generate 10 paragraphs. So I'm going to go back. Oh, look, Now it's generated. So I'm going to copy. And I'm going to go back into InDesign. And I'm going to paste. Now body copy for stuff like this is 9-point type. All of your programs are going to bring text in unless you've already set text at 12. So I'm going to select all and I'm going to make that 9-point type. I'm also going to change this to a sans serif font. I'm going to go with Garamond. No, I'm going to go with Baskerville. Both really traditional, great fonts. The reason why we set type in a serif font is those little feet. Actually, I'm going to go with Bedini. And they even have one that's called book, which means, you know, body copy, basically weight. I am gonna leave my text in black. Now you can see down here that I have a red arrow. That's giving me indication that I have more text, which we know. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to drag another I'm going to create another text box right next to that. And we're going to come in here with the direct select. I'm going to click on that little arrow there. It's going to give me this little thing, and then I'm just going to be able to move that text right into my next paragraph. Now we never want to set something so that you only have one line starting in a column. So we're actually going to pull that guy down and let it be a little longer. And then we're going to pull this guy up a little bit so that it starts at the same place. And you can see that I have more text to flow. Now, I know we were going to start with another magazine page over here, but we're only doing one article. Make sure that it's long enough and that it's going to give you those 3 spreads with images, and it doesn't look too thin. You can see that I have more text here. So if I come down here and I create a text box, I can come into my direct select again and click that, and it's going to allow me to, you know, have more text. Chances are you're going to have quite a bit more text, so I'm going to paste more. At this point in the article, we're going to want to bring in other images to kind of support those. We might have pull out quotes. So let's pull in some images. Let's pull in this image. So this image is looking pretty good at its current size. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this column a little bit shorter, and then I'm going to drag another column right next to it, and then continue on with that text. Now let me tell you why that's important, that linking text boxes. And that is because if I come in here and I select all, and I change my type 1 point size, you can see that all of my text reflowed. And so now I have to, you know, shut this column down a little bit because we had given ourselves extra space. And everything is reflowed from all of my paragraphs. You can see that this kind of sucks. So I might close this image down a little bit so that we don't have one line here. And so we'll make that. So that's wonderful. It's really important. Oh, and we can see that I need to bring this down because again, we reflowed, and we can see that we're ending here. So we wouldn't want to do another thing. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is, do you want tabs? It's pretty it's pretty common in a magazine to have tabs. Again, you can see how your text is reflowing. If you didn't do this, the use, oops, and you can see that now we have a problem here where we probably need to bring that line down here. We probably could, nope, we can't do that. And then we can bring this guy up. And then we'll do a tab right here. So instead of kind of creating a problem for yourself where you have to go in and fix everything, it's really easy now to fix things. Also know that hyphenations are not bad. I have hyphenations turned on. If you don't have hyphenations turned on, you might run into a situation where your rag right here is really rough and kind of problematic. Again, that's a term that should have been covered in print 1. And then we would continue on with the design of our magazine for the last page and a half. So those are the kinds of things that you're going to think about as you're kind of placing things. The last thing I think I didn't talk about was page numbers. And that's something that you could do on your parent page so that they're always there. Your page numbers usually are dropping down here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to put, this is page 12. And I'm going to do Helvetica. And I'm going to do it bold. And I'm going to make it 8 point. So it's very small, and I'm going to snug it up, and it's going to be right below there. And then this is going to be 13 over here. So I'm going to hold down and drag that. And for this one, I am going to have it flush left, and then we'll align it on the same place here. And I'll put 13 here. So now if I come here, you can see that 12 and 13 are in. Sometimes when you have a big image like this, you might not put a number there, and our image, it's there, but our image is covering it. I'm going to leave it because it's pretty standard that maybe that image, that number doesn't show up, but our 13's showing up here. And then our 12 and 13 are showing up here, but we need to change this. So this would be 14 and 15. So to change it, we're going to unlock that, because right now those are on the master page. Anything that you put on the master page is locked. So I'm going to hit Command Shift and unlock that. And I'm going to put 14, and I'm going to do the same thing here. Command Shift and unlock that. And I'm going to do 15. And then this would be 16 and 17. So I'm going to do the same thing. Unlock that. And 16. Command Shift, click, unlock that. And this will be 17. So the master pages are wonderful because things like this that are standardized are placed exactly. And then you can go unlock them and paste them. So as you are progressing, you should also be watching all the other posted videos that will also have a different approach to setting up your magazine. Let's just run through the tools really quick. These are the same as Illustrator, the Select and the Direct Select. This is the Page tool. This is your gap tool. This is not something you need to know because of the way that we use this. Your type tool. You can do basic drawing in here. If you wanted to have a specific size for an image, this is your image tool. It has an X through it, so we know it's an image tool. This is just if you wanted to do a flat color like we did this. You would come in and you'll be able to add flag color. This is the scissor tool that works with the pen tool, just like in Illustrator. This is your free transform tool, but remember up here is where I recommend, and that is available if you are in Essentials Classic. I try not to mess too much with, kind of rotating things unless needed. And then everything else is really kind of the same as Illustrator. This is your fill tool and your stroke tool. One thing that's really nice in InDesign is if I want to do a preview and get rid of all those guidelines, and you're going to see me do that a lot in your feedback, it takes everything away. So one of the things that I'm noticing is I really like the idea of having this maybe on a color. So I'm going to come in here and put this on a color. And that's great because it picks up this bat, and then I'm going to go to Object, Arrange, Send to Back, just like we would in Illustrator. And then I can also, choose to maybe make that a little bit brighter, so it's a little bit yellowy green. I like that a little bit more than this, so you can change the background color. We could have that entire that color come through the entire piece, and I think I'm going to, so I'm going to pull this over here. Notice that I have that bleeding. I'm going to go to Object, Arrange, Send to Back. And that's going to kind of create some continuity, right, through my whole design. If everybody has this same color background. And I'm going to go to Object, Arrange, Send to Back, and then I have two of these, so get rid of that. So that's going to create continuity. It's also going to kind of give me not that sterile white. So those are kinds of things that you're going to want to think about, but you're going to get a lot of information about all the considerations related to ads, cover pages, the start of your magazine, and what's typical. But you should be going out and experiencing those magazines, seeing how they work, and seeing how text is applied. I'm certainly going to be giving you feedback on your designs, but it's always great if you kind of start in kind of an authentic way that is going to bring you bring your design aesthetic through from the start. I'm actually going to duplicate this. I'm going to copy, and I'm actually going to end the magazine with this same color bar. And again, it's the same thing in terms of kind of bringing continuity through the design that this background is doing for us, right? So I'm going to drag that down. Oops. I'm going to send that to back, Object, Arrange, Send to Back. So that's going to give us some continuity as well. All right, hope that helps you get started. You're going to get a lot more feedback. It's going to be really important that you follow instructions about packaging, so read the details very closely. If you're not packaging things for me, I can't give you really great feedback. It's also going to allow me to know whether your images are large enough to print well. All right, thank you. Bye.